How about that? The Pittsburgh Steelers have moved on to an 8-2 record on the season. And you know what? A lot of people didn't expect the Steelers to be here. All right, all these sports analysts saying before the season that Mike Tomlin is going to have his first losing season as a Steelers head coach. Some way, somehow, they're going to be worse with um, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields and a better defense than they were with Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, and Mason Rudolph as their quarterbacks. Hey, man, I just think it's funny that before the season started, a lot of sports analysts were doubting the Steelers, which they have been for years. Why is that? I'm not too sure. Some very valid reasons. The prior seasons they didn't have the best of teams, quite to be frank. But this season, their defense is the best that they have been in a while. Okay, quarterback room is the best that it's been in a while. All right. The only thing that you could question is the wide receiving position, the wide receiver core, and the offensive line. Special teams is there too. I mean, special teams, arguably the best in the NFL right now. This team is better. And that's what I was saying. That's what I've been telling you guys even before the season started. Even before the season started. If you don't believe me, go back and check out the video I made. What was it, the schedule release video or something like that? I remember saying that this team has the potential to go 12-5, maybe even 13-4. Okay, if you don't believe me, you can go back and check that video out. But nonetheless, it's funny seeing those sports analysts now saying that, oh, the Steelers could be legitimate Super Bowl contenders. It's just funny. But anyways, I'm not going to go too much on a rant right there. Let's get into the game. So the Steelers won with a really good defensive performance. Really good defensive performance. All right. You had 3 takeaways on that really, really good Ravens offense. Okay. They were ranked, top 3, maybe even number 1 in the league. And you held them to just 16 points. Now, I will take into consideration Justin Tucker missed 2 field goals. All right? I will take that into consideration. If he did not miss those 2 field goals, they probably could have won the game. All right? There's some Justin Tucker has had a really good career. From what I understand, it has not been a good season for Justin Tucker. So I'm not sure what the Ravens plan on doing there. He's had his struggles this season. So we'll see. We'll see what the Ravens wind up doing. But nonetheless, he might be the greatest kicker of all time. But yeah, I liked what I saw from the Steelers defense. I mean, to be able to hold off an offense like that is very impressive. And I have questioned the Steelers defense, because of a quote unquote lack of testing, because they haven't really, the offensive that they've played so far this season haven't been super top notch. They just tamed a top notch offense. They did. They did. So shout out to the defense. They did their thing. One hell of a game. They played their best game defensively, I would say. And maybe not on the stat sheet, but like I said, because of who they played, able to force those turnovers. You force turnover or force fumble off of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had a fumble. How often does he fumble the ball? Not very. Not very. And this narrative needs to go away of, oh, well, we need to put an asterisk when the Steelers beat the Ravens because they're playing Tyler Huntley. The game doesn't matter. Or they're playing the Ravens backups. No. No. Let's throw that all out there. All right. You want to go through the numbers? Lamar Jackson has not beaten the Steelers since 2019. Lamar Jackson. Now, the Ravens did beat the Steelers in 2022, but that was Tyler Huntley that beat the Steelers. The numbers showed for themselves, man. Lamar Jackson does struggle against the Steelers. He's 1-4. He has more interceptions than he does touchdowns against the Steelers. Don't believe me? Check the facts. Steelers have won 8 of the last 9 meetings against Baltimore. All right. But that's besides the point. Offensively, the Steelers did not have a great game. Okay. They were in the red zone 4 times. 4 times. And they only scored 9 points out of the 4 trips in the red zone. 9 points. 9. That's not good. You have to finish drives. You have to get in the end zone. Or maybe you don't. I don't know, because they didn't even get into the end zone this game. And they still beat Baltimore. But I'll get into that when I get into that. As for the offense, I mean, wide receivers just couldn't get open. I mean, George Pickens still had a pretty solid day. He had that one incident where some way, somehow, he couldn't get that second foot in. I don't know how that's possible, but he still had a solid game. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, they did what they needed to do. They had a quality game. Steelers had over 100 rushing yards on the game as a team. Yeah, they didn't get a 100 rushing yarder, but as a team, as a whole, they had 100 rushing yards. So they were able to utilize Warren and Harris together, which is exactly what you want to see from the Steelers. But it's just finishing drives, man. And I understand you're not going to have a perfect game. Okay, and the Steelers have definitely not had a perfect game yet this season. But I'll give the Ravens defense credit. Okay, they were putting pressure on Russell Wilson. They were hitting Russell Wilson. They weren't letting receivers get open for a struggling pass defense. So I will give credit to the Ravens defense. They did do what they had to do to win. I'll even say that. But then you have Chris Boswell. Chris Boswell went 6 for 6 for 18 of the Steelers' points. 18 of 18 of the Steelers' points. Chris Boswell is the reason why the Steelers won this game. And this is not the first time we've said it. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he's had 6 field goals in a game, like 4, maybe even 5 times in his career. I'm not sure. It's either 4 or 5, one of those two. So Chris Boswell is definitely one of the best, if not the best, in the business right now. One of them was from 57 yards. And I get it. Maybe 57 yards. Well, that's not 60. Pittsburgh's a hard place to kick, man. Heinz Field is a tough place to kick a field goal. Okay, people don't really take that too much into consideration, but Heinz Field's a tough place to kick, which makes it even more impressive for Boswell. But I mean, he definitely should have got the game ball. It was weird seeing the Ravens play as bad as they did, because it just seems like in these big games, the Ravens just shoot themselves in the foot. And this wasn't even a playoff game. It wasn't. I mean, it was a battle for first place. It was a big game for the regular season, It could shape up who wins the division towards the end of the season. I know they play each other week 16, something like that, but it was a big game for Baltimore. And it seems like every big game they shoot themselves in the foot. They did kind of beat themselves in this game. I'll even say that. Steelers didn't play their best game either. But the Steelers can win in different ways as well. That is something that we cannot say last season or the year before. Steelers could put up 37 points and win. Steelers could put up only 18 points and win, 13 points and win. Steelers defense could give up over 20 points and the Steelers could still win because they have the ability to score points as well, you know? So this isn't the same Steelers team that we saw last season or the year before, or heck, even the year before that. This is the best Steeler team in a while. And you know what? The Steelers went 11-0 in 2020. I truly believe that this team is better than that 2020 team. I do. I do. So the Steelers can really make a run for it. They really can. Now, I get it's going to be tough against Kansas City. You're probably going to have to play them in the playoffs. You do play them Christmas Day. Buffalo's another team. Josh Allen having one heck of a season. But we also, I'm not saying this just as a Steelers fan. We need to give credit where credit is due. Steelers beat a top team in the AFC yesterday. And that's something that needs to be recognized. So Steelers at 8-2 control their own destiny. Are atop the AFC North alone. Lead the AFC North alone by themselves. And they have another divisional game on Thursday night against Cleveland. That's a bit of a trap game, but we'll get to that when we get to that. As for this one, man, Steelers, they're looking good. They are looking good. And I'll say it. They did not play their best game on Sunday. They did not. But they were still able to find a way to win. All right. And as for this one, guys, I'll catch you guys later on this week. We might do pick six earlier this week because the Steelers do play Thursday night. So we'll have to wait and see. But that's it for this one, guys. And you already know, man. Here we go, Steelers.